Hello and welcome all in our today's webinar, which is a very, very important and critical in the background of today's data-driven and automated world, where we talk a lot about cyber crimes, we talk about crypto, we talk about the metaverse. And in this digital world, it is very much important to protect our digital footprint and our IT infrastructure, so that we can save a lot of cost, which we may have to incur if we are attacked by a ransomware or our system is compromised and our identity is stolen. Our today's presenter is Saim Khan, who is a cybersecurity expert and have over 20 years experience working with the major companies in almost all sectors. And over to you, Saim.
Starting off, just a little bit about myself. Thank you very much for the introduction. I have had the privilege of working in cybersecurity and IT in general since 2001, 2002, across Asia, as well as in Australia since 2009. And the privilege has extended to working with some very well-known brands, working with them as an advisor, as a security officer, as a security analyst, and a security manager. Now, with all of this experience, I, in 2020, realized that there is a very large section of the market globally that does not have access to cybersecurity, which the larger end of town or the enterprise end of town does. So since 2020, I've been working dedicatedly with small and medium businesses and helping them in establishing cybersecurity for their business. Now, I want to give you an example that could be maybe a law firm, maybe an accounting firm, any kind of small business. This could be someone you know, this could be someone you might have heard of or read about in the newspaper. Imagine any small company which experiences a ransomware attack. If you're not familiar with the term, ransomware is when a virus or a malicious software gets installed on your computer, spreads throughout your network, and starts encrypting and locking your files. And then in exchange for unlocking or giving you access back to your own files, they ask for some kind of an extortion amount. And if you don't pay, they get rid of the files and you lose all of your data. So this example is an actual law firm based in Sydney, but we've obviously kept it anonymized for their security and their privacy. But like a lot of small businesses, they went through a ransomware attack, and that attack came through a phishing email claiming to be from one of their suppliers. When that attack was successfully executed, the hackers asked for 5,000 USD as an extortion, but the firm refused to pay, which is a great thing. But as a consequence, the hacker said, sure, you don't want to pay us, we're going to get rid of your data, and they did. The firm spent the next 3 months trying to recover all of their information, whether it was from some documents, from paper files, from whatever sources that they had. And it was very, very difficult and time consuming. As a consequence, 30% of their earnings, they lost, because organizations were like, we cannot trust the organization anymore. We are finding it too difficult to work with you, et cetera, et cetera. And as a consequence, they actually had a massive impact to their business. Now, in a small scenario, in a small business case scenario like this is something that can break a business. Now, what will you get out of today? I would like to share, based on the experience that I've had working with cybersecurity for various companies of different sizes, I want to share with you a simple model, which does not require you to be a technical expert or a technical guru or know what cybersecurity is. It's a simple model because it's designed for business. It's designed for if you're a sole proprietor or a solopreneur or a business owner or even if you're assisting in managing a business, this simple model will make sense. I was talking to everyone about how we can expect an increase in the kind of cyber attacks that have been seen in the past few years. Ransomware is going to increase. Phishing attacks are increasing. Ever since the pandemic, we've had to start checking into venues. And as a result, because a lot of those businesses have used technology that may not have been secure, your phone number is now pretty much public domain information. So we're experiencing a lot of SMS-based attacks as well. I'm sure there are people on the call who have experienced getting an SMS with a link with the generic text saying your parcel delivery update is here, or I've sent you the document, please take a look. Something generic like that, just to get you to click on the link. And that's, that is malware or malicious software designed to infect phones. So expect this to keep increasing. But what can businesses do to reduce their cybersecurity threats? So the three-part model that I was talking about is based on this. It is based on staff, on your business processes, and on the technology that you have to enforce and manage those processes and that staff. So in that respect, understand that if your staff doesn't follow the processes, then there is an issue there. But if you have processes, you need to communicate them, because once you communicate the processes to staff, then there is an imperative on them to follow it. Similarly, if you have technology that within the business, but that does not enforce the processes that you've built, or you've not configured your processes on your technology, those are the gaps that exist. And this is exactly the kind of weaknesses in a business that hackers or cyber criminals try to exploit. In 2022, technologically advanced attacks are not the reason why hacks are increasing. The reason why hacks and cybercrime is increasing is because cyber criminals are focusing on the break points between these three things. If your staff is not educated about cyber threats, they have a higher probability of falling for a phishing attack. If your technology is not configured correctly to follow your processes, then there are gaps in your system that could be exploited. And if you don't have processes defined on how to consistently do things, then there are issues within the business that actually go beyond the technology and staff. Now, in this respect, when we talk about what does this mean, staff needs to go through three major things. I like to work in threes. It kind of keeps it easier to remember. When you talk about staff, they should be provided training, and they should be tested for the training that you are giving them. And there should also be an attestation that they are giving to you, meaning that they agree and they acknowledge that as a member of this business, as a staff member of this business, I agree to not do these things, I agree to do these things, and I agree to follow the business processes. When we talk about those processes, it basically breaks it down into three things. You have policies which define what you as a business need to have. So this is not just about cybersecurity. A lot of participants in this webinar would be accepting payments via bank transfer. Do you have a bank transfer and money transfer and a financial conveyancing policy defined? It doesn't have to be a complicated policy, but it should at least cover things like what the expectation is on receiving account details from clients and partners and suppliers. How do you manage those details? Who is authorized to make those changes? When those changes happen? What is the verification process that you will take into place? So when you define those policies, then you break them down into procedures or processes, whatever you want to call it, and workflows as well. Once you have these things in place, then you can look at implementing the appropriate technology, which extends to your data, to your communications and email, and to general online browsing. Now, I'm sure everybody on the call and the webinar will agree that in today's day and age, businesses are most likely using either Microsoft 365, Google Workplaces, or Zoho, or something similar. And all of these communication platforms actually have security controls built in. They just need to be switched on. So with this three-part model, let's go back and think about how we can improve security. So when you train your staff, you need to train them on cyber threats, not only knowing what they are, but also knowing how to respond to them. When we talk about policies, you need to build and implement policies which, number one, are so simple to read that they are not complicated. People often assume that policies need to be very elaborate or expansive, but they don't. Even a one page, a single side of an A4 sheet, which clearly defines what your expectations are on a particular topic, is a great policy. A lot of my experience in working with the enterprise side of business has been in helping these organizations simplify their policies. Because if you have a cybersecurity policy which is 15 pages long, let's be frank, no one's going to read it. But if you have a policy which on a single sheet of paper explains, this is what we're protecting, this is why it's important that we protect it, and this is how we're protecting it. That's all you need to know when it comes to a cybersecurity policy, nothing more. So it's important that your policies and the guidelines and the processes that you define under those policies support good practices. And we'll talk about what those good practices are. Lastly, it's setting up technology. Now, as I mentioned, most likely people are using Microsoft, Google, or Zoho or something similar. So leverage what you have already within the organization instead of going out and buying something new. For example, most businesses use Windows, and Windows 10 is now very common since Windows 11 has come out. Windows 10 comes with a built-in antivirus. It just needs to be switched on for automatic updates. That's literally all you need to do. And you have antivirus set up. Now, in light of that, what is important is if we take a look at that common example that I gave you at the beginning, what does that mean? So with the three-part model, had they trained their staff or invested in training their staff, that phishing and impersonation attack would have most likely been avoided. If they had policies in place, they would have had data policies defined, which would talk about backing up their data on a regular basis. So in that scenario, it would have been easier for them to recover from the loss and the data. Fine, we're not going to pay the extortion. So that deletion of data and their 3 months spent would not have been in place. And then having this technology to support it, so having appropriate backup controls. So if you're using Microsoft 365 or Google, for example, you will most likely be using OneDrive or Google Drive. And you can set up your computer very quickly in a few clicks to continuously back up your information so that should your computer be unavailable or should any issue happen, you can easily recover. So how does Jumpstart enable this three-part model? Quite simply, once again, I like working with threes. We provide interactive training to your company staff, and I'll actually be showing it to you very shortly. It's designed to keep things interesting, and everyone's busy, so we don't want to get someone to sit down for 25 minutes to talk about phishing. The same concepts can be explained in 2 minutes. All of the content that we have on the platform, we pride ourselves on keeping it under 3 minutes. So if you can spend 5 minutes, 3 minutes of reading something, and then having some ongoing testing, that's all you need. Then we have what we call certificates of attestation. So some businesses may have formal regulatory requirements on showing regulators that they've got security controls in place. We assist by doing that ongoing attestation. From the processes perspective, we help businesses generate those policies and procedures and automate that workflow of getting acknowledgements into the business so that your staff is automatically assigned and they can actually read and acknowledge those policies. And this is all done automatically. And then lastly, the technology bit, we provide guidance on how to secure your data, how to secure your email, how to secure your online browsing experience. So we serve small businesses, as I mentioned. After spending the last 20 years working with the enterprise end of town, the whole point of forming Jumpstart has been to help small businesses bring those same concepts, those same technologies, those same approaches to assist and serve small businesses. And the way that we do it is, and I'll show you the platform after this slide, we have a security academy, which has, as I mentioned, some really fun interactive content. We have a policy center where you can generate and track policy completions. And we have an action center, which has a simplistic cybersecurity assessment, guidance, and on some of our packages, ongoing meetings with a cybersecurity advisor to be able to do, simplify the way that you can implement cybersecurity best practices. So I'm quickly going to share what the platform looks like. But in the meantime, if there are questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. So, SaqCh, Barbara, if there are any questions that are coming up while I load up my screen, happy to answer them. Okay, since there are no questions, SaqCh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, you continue. Then we'll have a question answer session at the end.
Sure. No problem. So basically, what you're seeing here is what we call our central dashboard. So this is a test company dashboard that we've built just to kind of show you what all the features look like. And basically over here, you can see what your company security score is, and this is backed by some action items. So if the spending action items is more than one, obviously your score will not be 100% because these action items will help you get to 100%. Based on the industry that you identify with or that you work in, we actively maintain industry scores, and you can see how you're tracking against the industry averages. Then we break down this company security score into people, process, and technology, where what are the overall security ratings for your staff, for your processes, and for your technology. Over here, we also take a look at, and this was the part I was talking about, the process automation or the workflow automation. We automatically create your security awareness program, and we automatically create your policy compliance program once you generate your policies. The platform is made up of 4 major modules. An action center, which tells you simplistic advice on how to implement certain aspects of cybersecurity, a security academy, which has our training content, a policy center, which has our cybersecurity policies, as well as our policy dissemination engine, which I'll talk about shortly. And then we also have a marketplace where if you need something very specific in cybersecurity or in general services, you can also take a look here with a one-click request for information or request for proposal. As part of our general offering, we have on some of our plans, we have an advisory line as well. So if you're under a cyber attack, you can contact this number and they can guide you through how to get through the cyber attack. So this is actually delivered in partnership with one of our incident response partners, Gridware. So in the action center, you basically have simplistic action items that you can complete. So for example, conducting a dark web assessment. What is it? We explain that here. And then based on the assessment that you complete, we generate all of these action items. And as you complete them, there is, your score improves. You can also download a report based on what's to be completed and what's already has been. And as I mentioned about attestation, what we also do is we create a certificate that you can share with your prospects, your clients, your partners, your regulators, your customers. And the idea behind that is you are able to showcase that as a business, you are taking security seriously. I'll show you what that certificate looks like. One sec, just open up here on this tab. So basically, this kind of a certificate is created, and we basically work on showcasing what is this is something that you can share with your clients. Then Some of our packages also include ongoing scanning and ongoing alerts on the vulnerabilities that exist in your technology, in your processes, in your people. So we provide 3 types of ongoing scanning, which is vulnerability scanning, phishing simulation, where we simulate what a phishing attack will look like. And then if someone clicks on it, we record who's clicked on it and then share the results with you. And then dark web exposure, where which of your credentials, company credentials have been compromised. So as you may be aware, data breaches are happening quite frequently, and there is a lot of password information available online. Generally, how hackers use this is they try to see if you reused your passwords somewhere. So if, for example, your LinkedIn password was breached last year, chances are that you may have used the same password for your internet banking or for another social media platform. And that's how hackers try to overcome or those obstacles and try to steal your identity. In addition to this, some of our packages include what's called a security check-in. So this is your time to sit down with someone who understands cybersecurity, is someone who can act as your advisor and provide you simple guidance on how to fix things. In addition to this, what we've also done is we've created something called Quick Start. So as I mentioned, about Google and Microsoft, this is a very, very simple guided setup to enable you to be able to implement the easy, quick wins to create cybersecurity. So we start off with data backup. With data backup, we start asking you, do you use Microsoft? Do you use Google? Let's say you use Google. It'll then take you on how to set up your Google Drive for your backup. And this is a resource that's available for free when you sign up on the platform. And it goes through step-by-step, sign in with your account, select the folders you want to back up. You'll see a screen like this, and then that's it. Similarly, then we start talking about antivirus. So let's suppose you're using Apple. Installing an antivirus, we have some recommendations on antivirus that you can download. When you install that, you're good to go. Now, similarly, if you were to, let's say, choose Windows, it talks about Windows Defender. So with Windows Defender, we provide instructions on how to set that up. And that's it. That's how simple it is. Then we talk about updates. So these are all the basic controls that you need. Now, in addition to this, you can share that information once you've completed it yourself with all of your staff. In fact, you can even share it with some family members if you need to help them improve their overall security. Within the Security Academy, what we've created is a very simplistic educational experience. So all it does is it once again takes you through a very simple video experience where you can, let's say this is about data handling. It's a simple video. As I mentioned, we pride on keeping our videos under 3 minutes. This one is just 2 minutes. Once you watch the video, you go through some questions. We ask 3 questions just to measure that if you retain the key elements from the video, and that's it. So we basically have 8 courses, but we're actually adding more courses on an ongoing basis. And over here, you'll notice this box here. We can actually see who's not finished their courses and who's finished their courses. And you can, and the system automatically sends them reminders every 2 weeks that you need to be finishing your courses. The next part is our policy center, which I'm quite excited about, where you can generate all of these cybersecurity policies, and we're constantly adding more policies. We started off with 10, we're currently sitting at about 20, and we're releasing more policies every day. All you need to do is just select the policy you want to generate and enter the name of the individual who would basically own this policy or is responsible for maintaining that policy, and click generate. It will automatically create the policies here. And if you notice, it says staff list uploaded. All we need is a list of all of your staff members, just their name and email address. And once that list is added, your policies and your courses are automatically assigned to them. And in addition to that, what we do is we generate this automatic security portal for your business. So it looked like this. It's very similar to the screen that you were seeing, but this would actually be your courses, your company's logo here, the courses that your staff has to complete. And this is for every single staff member and your policies as well. So you can read and acknowledge. So when I read and acknowledge a policy, let's say it was my acceptable use policy, once I've acknowledged it, it'll mark it as complete. And on this side, when I go to my policy center, it'll actually show that there's a single acknowledgement completed. So I can then start seeing, once they start completing all the policies, their names will start shifting to completed policies. And then on that point, the training courses are quite easy. You get members, your staff can actually download a certificate once they complete all of their courses. So it will state that, for example, John Smith has completed security awareness course covering all of these topics. So it gives your staff an incentive as well. And lastly, we have what we call the marketplace. And in the marketplace, the experience is basically quite easy to work towards getting your cybersecurity services that you may need to as part of a contract or a requirement. And all you need to do is request a callback. And when you request a callback, it'll send your details to the partner and they'll be in touch. And that's it. The platform is designed to be simple. It's designed to keep things easy for you. So on that note, I'll switch back to my presentation. There's just a couple of slides to share with you guys. Bear with me 1 second. Here we go. All right. So lastly, I just want to share, that we try to help small firms build cybersecurity, before they start a business. And I'm going to basically thank you very much, SaqCh, for the opportunity to present. And I'll hand it back to you. There's an exclusive offer, which I'll let you talk about with everyone here.
Thank you very much, Saim. Before I go to this exclusive offer for our customers and associates, to just summarize that there is a takeaway for everyone, like for individuals who are not running a business, they can implement some of the measures such as having updated antivirus or the active antivirus setup, which is you mentioned it is a free with some window perhaps
with Microsoft.
Yeah, with the Microsoft. Yep. So that is the one thing which everyone can do at individual level, and then they can have a regular backup of their data, because these are, everyone have a data, and it could either be photographs, it could be your personal documents, it could be your bank statement, and it could be any other information. So that is actually that need to be protected. So for that, if you have a backup record, regular backups, then that means you are protected. So that is at your personal level, and at a business level, as Sam mentioned, because a lot of organizations they have a mandatory requirement from their customers or from their regulatory authorities that they should have a well documented policies and procedure, and that must have been in place and implemented so that they can protect themselves from all these ransomwares and the other type of threats. So for our business customer and associates, so we are giving away 5 Jumpstart Security Lite package for free, and that gonna the net worth of that amount is that package is just over $550, to be exact, $588. So that we will give you free of cost, and you can enjoy Jumpstart Security, this light package facility for 12 months period. So just to conclude, I mean, before concluding, if someone have any question they want to ask, just either you can text us or you can just raise your hand and we unmute you and you can ask your question. While our attendees, they send us some questions. Simon, what is the best way to protect the passwords? Because these days everyone have a multiple, logins, and that they have to keep a password. Some people, they are just writing on some paper, or sometime they're just creating either Excel sheet to just write down the passwords. So what is the best practice for an individual as well as for the businesses?
The best practice to use, Saqib, is what's called a password manager. And before, the technology was not very great. It was clunky. It wasn't syncing properly. But now password management has become so easy. And I should also point out, using a password manager is not the same as saving the password in your browser. So when your Firefox or your Chrome or your Safari is asking you to save the password, that's not the same as password management. How a password manager works is it requires you to remember just one password. Think of it as the lock to your safe. And all the other passwords that you have, they're automatically created as random letters, numbers, and characters. And you use your master password to unlock your safe and fill that password. And the system, whether you're using, and I'll talk about a few options that you can use. The password manager will fill in the password for you, and you can sync it across your laptop, your tablet, your cell phone. It doesn't matter how many devices you have. You can sync the same password, and it'll prompt you to keep changing your password. So you don't have to remember that 20 character or that 15 character password. You just need to remember the one single password to be able to access that password manager. In terms of the options that are available, there are quite a few. I would recommend 3 based on my experience. If you are looking at an individual level, account, because I mentioned, because I noticed someone on the chat asked about how can individuals that are working secure themselves. You can use a product called Bitwarden, and all of this information is also available in Jumpstart's Quick Start interface. You can use Bitwarden, you can use LastPass, and you can use Dashlane. Those are the ones that I'd recommend. There are others as well. There's KeyPass, there's 1Pass. There are quite a few that are available. So using a password manager is the most effective way. And at today's time, to be able to manage multiple passwords and keep them all different, because reusing passwords is also a bad idea. One password gets breached, and all the accounts using that password are under breach as well. So that's how I would address that.
What are the habits we should have at our personal level and at business level so that we can avoid all these cyber attacks?
Look, the first thing is, and I want to say this because a lot of times security companies tend to say that, oh, users don't know. Actually, in today's day and age, we are also digitally connected, and we're also exposed to digital technology, that we do know that something is off. What is the number one reason why phishing emails are successful? They're successful because we are constantly rushing. Especially in this remote working era, we are constantly looking at emails on the phone, on the tablet. We're just quickly trying to go through our emails or our SMS messages or WhatsApp messages. And the number one reason in 2022 that phishing attacks are successful is because people are not paying attention. What are the things that you need to be paying attention to? First of all, if I'll speak in an Australian context, if you're getting an email from Commonwealth Bank about your password and you don't even bank with them, why would you click on links? Why would you open the attachment? Why would you go open up that SMS? So it's also about first establishing, okay, why am I receiving this email? The second is, what is the email asking me to do?
So let's say you are a ANZ customer bank, or for example, if you're based in Pakistan, you're a Bank Al Falah customer, you get an email from them. What is the email asking you to do? If the email is asking you to open an attachment, if the email is asking you to enter information, which is sensitive information, that's a definite sign that it's not from the bank itself, because banks will never ask you to provide sensitive information over email. They will never ask you to share sensitive information. They will, and nowadays banks won't even send you attachments. They will actually send you a notification saying that your statement or whatever document you've requested is available for download in your online banking portal. So it's about understanding who the email is coming from, what the email is asking you to do, and also about what the email looks like. That's the last step. That is, if let's say I receive an email from you, SaqCh, asking me to provide my tax number, that is something which would be a bit odd, because that is not something that you would normally ask for. So that's the first giveaway. Then I take a look at, okay, who's the email from? So it says SaqCh at saqch+partners.com.au. Okay, that's not your email address, because I know your email address is different. So that's also a giveaway. So look at the email address. Look at when the email is sent. You normally send me emails between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. If this email is coming at 10 p.m. at night, that's also unlike you. So it's about looking at what's normal behavior from someone that you know, and what's the deviation from that. And finally, regardless of even if it's a legitimate email, if it's asking you to share personal information over email, or it's asking you to open up an attachment which you normally wouldn't receive, even if it seems like it's from a legitimate person, the best option is to call them and say, did you send me this email? Did you ask me, are you actually asking me to do this? If someone's asking you for personal information, it's better to call them and share that information over the phone. If someone is asking you to upload personal information, don't send it by email. Ask them to provide you a secure upload link, like a secure Google Drive link or a secure OneDrive link, which only you and they can access. So these are small steps you can take to prevent being a victim of a phishing attack.
Paying good attention to your emails, text messages before you open them, that is the way forward to protect yourself from all this smaller and the larger attacks.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And also, we just received one message that sometime these type of phishing email ask you to respond very quickly. That's why you are rushing into that and
correct.
Making
No, so that's a very good point. So if you look into the psychology of phishing emails, it's actually the same psychology that you see being applied on those online shopping channels. So those TV shopping channels. So it's either they use three tricks. They use the trick of urgency, they use the trick of flattery, or they use the trick of threat. So I'll give you an example which uses all three. You receive an email saying that you have a traffic infringement. Your traffic infringement was due 2 weeks ago, and now the matter is being referred to State Debt Recovery Office. Contact or open this document and pay now. That is enough to drive someone to click the link. But I will also add that at sometimes the most common one is like the flattery one is you won the lottery, or here's a special offer, or so those are the psychology metrics that go behind, and they're actually borrowed. Like one of the most interesting things to understand about cybercrime is it's taking all of the advances in digital marketing, digital transformation, and perverting them for a criminal cause. So your email technology that's used for tracking emails is the same technology that's used for phishing. The same tactics that are used for sales and marketing are the same tactics that are used for phishing emails. So cyber criminals are using the same things that are being done in business, but for a perverted or a criminal cause. And on top of what the participant talked about, what Faiza has mentioned. Now you take these psychological tricks, and you also add that you yourself are constantly in a state of rush. So because everyone's working remotely or everyone's working semi-remotely now, people are constantly doing something. They're managing their personal life with their work life, with their social life. So they might be on the phone looking at an email while walking to home, or they might be looking at something online while dealing with their family. So you're not 100% paying attention. So when you're not paying attention 100%, you've got these psychological tricks that are being used to lure you or fool you. There's a high likelihood that you'll fall for it. So it's always good to kind of ask yourself, why have I received it? Why has this person sent it? Who is this person? And what are they asking me to do? So the psychology is important to understand. So it's a very good contribution by Faiza on that.
So I think we will conclude this session on this note. And thank you very much, Saim, for your time. And thank you all the attendees. And hopefully you guys have some takeaway from this session. And this will secure you and your digital footprints from any type of attacks. So if you have any question later on, you can send us an email or contact us, call us, so we can help you to secure yourself from in this cyber world. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care. Bye.